Well, that two-part series on leadership and self-leadership, and particularly intuition, certainly raised a lot of interest around the place. And so I thought I'd just do a short video segment for this newsletter just to talk about some of the feedback that I've heard. People have sent articles and comments from all over. One of the most interesting conversations that I had as a result of that was with a good friend of mine who described an intuitive moment in his life, and the story was really quite moving and quite profound, and so I thought I'd share it with you. Basically what had happened, he has a number of children, and it was his youngest daughter's first birthday, and there was a gathering of people at his place to celebrate that milestone, and they'd run out of drinks, and so he was sent off to grab a few more ales, and as he was backing out of the driveway, he sort of gone and got into his car. Typical household with lots of young kids, there's toys everywhere, lots of them in the driveway, and as he's backing out of the driveway, the car came up against, felt some resistance against the wheels as it came up against a toy. And he was a little bit frustrated at that moment, and he described the feeling of just wanting to kind of back over it and crush the thing, and maybe that would give the kids a bit of an idea about what happens when you leave your toys lying around. And he could recall a moment from his childhood when his father did exactly that to his brother's skateboard, backed over it, cracked it in half, and he said, even at 8 years old, he knew that his dad did it deliberately, and he also knew that it was wrong. So he's sitting there balancing the vehicle on the clutch, and with this resistance behind, deciding whether or not to back over the toy, and he decided in quite a short instant that he'd do the right thing and get out and move the toy. So he moved forward slightly, got out, and when he got around to the back of the car, there's his 1-year-old daughter sitting at the back of the vehicle with a full-on tyre print in her thigh. So the resistance that he'd felt was in fact his daughter. Had he continued with his thought, he said he would have literally backed over a leg and up part of a body, and most likely a head, and at the very least she would have been badly injured, broken leg as a minimum, and possibly maimed, disfigured, or even killed. He said he took a lesson out of that, which was when that little intuitive voice speaks, one of the best things that you can do is examine yourself for the notion of right or wrong. What's right for you at that moment. And he knew that right for him at that moment was to stop and shift the obstruction, which he just thought was a toy. But the other thing that he said was, if you ignore that voice, that little intuitive voice, you never know what the implications are going to be. They could be enormous. Something in him made him pause that day, and he's no doubt eternally grateful for that. So when you hear your little intuitive voice, just see if you can find that pause, that few moments to examine what's going on. Just give it space, and if it's not that loud, then ask that question, what's the right thing to do in this moment? And hopefully that'll set you on a good path. I'm Mike House. See you out there.